Hello, I can hear you. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I don't do too much with the headphones and the camera, so I apologize if anything looks weird or wonderful. The light is not
It's
very good this morning. It's very grey outside. Um,
it's funny that you're apologizing for the headphones and not your sweater.
Nothing wrong with this. Christmas.
It's lovely. It's very Christmassy. I appreciate the festivity.
No worries.
How are you, Andy?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm just I'm clicking a couple of things behind you because I look
Go
very
for it.
cold. There we go.
Oh,
I've got this thing that the microphone plugs into that I've not read the instructions on. So I've plugged it in. I can hear things. It's probably not. It's probably it's more advanced than what I know how to do. See, it's got all these. It's got all buttons
oh.
and glowing lights and things. That's what. But I don't know what any of it does. So I've just plugged it in. I've turned it on. People are probably cursing me now, saying, "What a waste! Can't believe he's got a nice microphone, nice headphones. He doesn't know how they work. He's just making it up as he goes along, as usual.
Well,
Um,
hopefully,
yeah,
you're getting what you need out of it, which is just that you sound good and you can hear things, right? That's the most important part.
good. I've got a little bit of a cold this week, so it's my voice doesn't usually sound like this probably, but we'll go with it. It sounds very low, but that's okay.
Good. Well, I appreciate you still coming today. I've been looking
That's
forward to
okay.
this. I've been a little bit nervous, and going, "Oh my God, am I?" Because yeah, the nerves that come up with this sort of thing. But
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
But don't
it's
worry,
I
everything's fine. I don't do this very often, so we'll just figure it out as we go.
I think that we're going to have a really lovely conversation today. What I've done to prepare is I've had a little look through your website. I've been following you for a while on Instagram. I'm not in the wedding scene at all. I'm one of those people that follow you that are like, weddings are awesome. This guy is really funny. He takes nice photos. And just really resonates with what you share online, with how you show yourself, and
Yeah.
seeing your design, which I'll talk to a little bit. I'm not going to go in like too deep and heavy into it because it's not necessary, but there's a few questions that I've asked that I'm just really, or that I've got prepared that I'm really curious about. And we'll touch on it a little bit. And there's a few little things I've flagged that I've just gone, oh, that's
Yeah.
just so cool. Like, I love seeing people live out their designs and see how their design lives out through them, maybe is a better way to put it. I've seen the tattoos on your hand, so I can see that you have some sort of inclination towards planets and
Yeah.
astrology and
Probably
whatnot.
against my better nature. I probably you might have already revealed this in your examinations, but I'm one of those probably a very weird personality in that I like to think that I'm level-headed and scientific, and what you see is what you get, and I need absolute proof before I do anything. But then in my probably deep in my heart, I want there to be something else. I want to see the magic and the mystery, and I still believe in the goblins and the fairies that live in the forests and all this kind of stuff. So it's a very strange it's a very strange blend of being, yeah, depending on what side of bed I get out of. I'm either I I don't believe in this thing. I don't believe what you're explaining to me. That doesn't make sense. I can't understand that. You are crazy. How would that work? That's impossible. And then the other part of me reads a fantasy book, or the Lord of the Rings, or whatever, and I want there to be something else. So I'm probably open minded a bit, and it just depends. It just depends what mood I'm in. I suppose.
Yes. Well, I'm not here to convert you to human design by any stretch of the imagination. But the people that are going to listen to this, for my people at least, are into human design. So,
Yeah.
that's what I'll speak to a little bit. And I just think that it's so wonderful and interesting. And the whole thing is just an experiment. So if
I
there's
I
anything
think
I.
while I'm
Mm,
while I'm thinking about what you've just said,
mm,
something I've thought about before, and I don't know whether this is relevant, but maybe because you said the people who might listen to you are in this sphere, I always find it quite interesting that for if you go to another culture, or you travel to another country and you learn about their beliefs and their customs and their traditions, you're always a lot more respectful and open-minded and understanding, and you kind of think, even if you don't believe in it, you can kind of you can look at the country and look at their history and see how things may have come to pass, and you can sympathize with things, and you just seem to have a lot more time when you learn about these new systems and techniques when it comes from another culture. But then the
mm,
second that you put someone who looks a bit more like you or lives in the same street or whatever, and then they explain something that you don't know about, you kind of go, what what on earth are they talking about? And you discount, you discount it, and you just think that's a crazy person, whatever. It's just something. I'm going to Thailand next year for, I think this will be
ah,
my second or third trip with my family, and I love learning about the ancient temples and seeing the beliefs that they had, and reading all the little signs of what this used to mean, and what this lion signified, and this belief system. So yeah, I suppose I am probably more open minded than I would give myself credit for. So I'm
mm.
I'm very interested to hear all about it. So please don't hold back. Don't
Okay.
spare me.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I agree. And that's one of the most wonderful things about travel is you open your mind up to other ways of being as opposed to just what you see every day. And as I shared in my little intro post a couple days ago, you're a Capricorn sun, so there's a very sort of serious, practical side to you. But you have a Pisces moon, which is your heart and soul, which is when you say that I still want to believe in fairies and goblins and all the things. I mean, that's so Piscean. Piscean is incredibly sensitive and empathetic and intuitive and sort of half of this world, where Capricorn is most of this world. So there's an interesting dynamic. And when I say most of this world, it's the most evolved Earth sign. So it's very much about building and growing and sort of that seriousness of life, but with a wonderful sense of humor as well, a very dry sense of humor, which is my favorite. And then your Scorpio rising, when I say, of course you are, because all Scorpio risings have sort of this dark, mysterious appearance to them, which with your dark, long hair and your beard, it's kind of like people would look at you and be like, is he scary? Or is he okay? I'm not really sure until they talk to you. So, but that's a water sign as well, like Pisces. So there can be some suspicion perhaps with Scorpio, as you've brought up, but very intuitive, discerning. Um, but and that's all part of the astrology side with human design. What I really want to lean into is your profile, which you're a 2/4. Um, and it's the hermit opportunist.
Oh,
Uh, so you're a 2/4 sacral generator, and I will unfold what that all means as we go through a little bit
cool.
more with it. So I first want to just bring up a little bit about what you do. I have listened to your two of your past podcasts, so I want
Right.
to do a bit of an overview as well of what you've already shared, what's already out there, and then I want to dive a little bit deeper into other areas
Yeah.
with you.
Okay.
So I want to acknowledge what you do with your work, with your photography work, and touch on that a bit. As I said, we'll go a bit into your human design, and then of course to explore what this last year has shown you about yourself as a second line, which is going to be. So we'll see what comes up, because second lines classically have this natural talent to them, this naturalness, but they can't necessarily see themselves all that well. So I don't want to ask you any questions to try and get you to explain something that just comes very naturally to you.
Okay.
Um, so we'll see how that resonates for you with how I've managed to phrase these questions. But
Yeah.
yes, I'm super excited. I'm honestly just so excited to be here with you. I didn't want to prepare too much because
Oh,
that takes a little bit of my own magic away as well. You know,
yeah.
like you and I we're both passive receptive beings in terms of our cognition. And that basically just means that we're not here to strategically prepare. We do our best work. We can have the greatest impact on people through just letting it flow in the moment, see what gets pulled out of us by other people. And particularly for you, and what
Yeah.
I found as a
Yeah.
thread through your website is, effortlessly unscripted wedding photography. I mean, there's a naturalness with that. You just show up and you respond to what's happening around you in the wedding. And it's done in a very receptive sort of manner. I'm the quiet observer, providing minimal direction to allow every story to unfold naturally. So
Yeah.
there's the way that you see the world with possibility view is, and I don't want to tell you about yourself, so I hope that it doesn't come across that way, but this is what we see through your design and the pieces that I've pieced together. But with possibility view, which is the lens through which we see the world, I get this sense that you can see almost just this multitude of things that could happen through the day of a wedding, and you're able to just stay available and responsive to that, to be able to capture the moments as they unfold,
I
knowing
think
that there are so many possibilities of what can happen.
that's a very accurate description, I suppose, of what happens. It's it's taken a very long time actually to get to the point where I can pretty much arrive at this new place with new people who sometimes I've never met before or briefly spoken to, and feel confident enough that I can let everything happen around me, um,
Mhm.
and respond to what's happening without having a complete meltdown or without trying to direct the flow of what's happening. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because there's probably in my particular little niche, obviously I bring people to me who operate in a similar way, and I tend to follow people who I align with, in photography terms. But I'm just a little drop in an enormous ocean of different personalities that photograph weddings. I think that this figure may be wrong, but I think there's something like 60,000 wedding photographers in the UK alone,
Wow.
and I know 0.001% of them. So sometimes I think, oh gosh, well, everyone just works like me. We all just do things as they happen, and
Mm.
we react to things happening in front of us and tell the story in a way that feels true and natural without forcing anything. But there's so many people out there who don't do it that way. They have their own way of doing it, and they may do huge amounts of preparation. They may direct a lot more on the day. And I don't mean, shouting at people and herding the guests around, but they just may have more of a personality that likes to know what's going to happen next. So this is what we're going to do, and this is what I'd like you to do. And maybe it would be nice if we went over to this side of the garden, and maybe we
Yeah.
could try this, which is absolutely fine, and it has its place. But I've been doing this now for I think 11 years, and I just settled into the way that felt right for me. Something that felt like I could do this every week. I could turn up and I could enjoy it, and I could enjoy the experience, because I used to work in a completely different sector, very boring job in an office. And when I made the switch to photograph weddings, it was because I didn't want to be in a little boring office with no windows every day, all week. And that was that. So for me, weddings are still an adventure. Every time I go on a wedding, because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, and I'm not quite sure what the people are going to be like. And most of the time, I've never been to that place before either. Um, so it keeps me interested.
Mm.
I don't know what's going to happen. It's like we're going exploring. We're going to go and discover something. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, letting things flow and happen as much as possible, as much as is practical. I mean, I'm not a complete lunatic. I would never just not get involved at all. There's
Yeah.
little parts of the day where you need to
Yeah.
show a little bit more firmness and
Yeah.
especially with family pictures. Just as a random example, you've got to be able to get mum and dad and the bride and groom or the whoever it happens to be in a line in the right place for 10 minutes and take some pictures. But yes, for the vast majority of the day, it's let's see what happens and
Yeah.
stay aware of what's going on and unpick the possibilities and kind of play the scenarios in your head in that instant and go, I think this is going to be the best story that I can tell of this moment. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's how I approach my weddings.
I love it. I love it so much. And it's, I will just acknowledge that it is hard for people like us. I mean, I've known that I'm receptive and passive. Like you, we both are right brain, right mind, which won't make any sense, but human design people will understand. And it's been like, well, what do you mean I'm not supposed to be strategic or planning things out or doing things in a really structured way? Like, we're fed to do things. We're told that you plan out and you do lists and all of the things, and that works, and it takes quite a free fall, I think. And for me, it was quite, it's moment after moment um of really having to either not trust my rightness, if you will, and then deal with the consequences of it just being like way harder than it needs to be. Because basically,
Yeah,
with rightness, we're constantly taking everything in all the time. We're kind of just like taking it all in. Whereas people who are left are focused and strategic. So they're focused on the one particular thing, and their brain and their cognition works a very different way to us. But what I really liked about what you said was around how you've learned to trust yourself in this process. And I don't imagine that it was an overnight thing for you, but it's so magic and magnetic when we can trust that and lean into that.
yes,
And just a little bit of my own personal story. I mean, I go to Toastmasters every couple of weeks here. I live in Australia, and that's the public speaking thing. I thought
oh
everybody
right,
knows what
okay,
Toastmasters is, but apparently not.
no,
um, and you craft speeches, you learn how to do public speaking. And so I would get so attached to my words, and I even felt it when I was preparing for our conversation today, writing my questions out. I'm like, girl, you cannot get attached to these words. You have to just let it flow, or it's going to be bad. Like, it's going to be fine, but it's not going to be great by any stretch of the imagination.
yeah,
My last speech there, I just threw it all out of the window, and I just spoke, and it was the best experience of my life in terms of
wow,
speaking in front of other people, and it was so well received. So it's something that I'm still going like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. And so to hear you say something like that is also just almost like a boost of confidence, because I think for a lot of people it is really difficult to trust that what needs to come out comes
yeah.
out. Yeah.
One of the biggest, um, not the biggest, that's the wrong sentence. One of the best things that a client, a couple who are getting married, can say is, I always try and guide the people who get in touch with me down a certain path through the words that I put on my website and the photographs that I show and the things that I post on Instagram. It's all it's not specifically designed, but there's an idea behind it all that I try and channel the this sounds terrible, the right kind of person to get in touch with me because
Mm.
of you know more than anyone about this, the human design element, but there's so many different personalities, and I know who I work well with most of the time, and I try and guide those people towards me. And I know when I've done it right because after we have our initial conversations and they say yes, we want you to photograph our wedding, there's no discussion about. I've thought about this a few times, but I probably need to write this down at some point so I can actually put it on my website. But after they've said yes, we want you to photograph our wedding, I've described how I see the day and how I'm going to work with them and what I'm going to do for them. I never get into specifics about what I'm going to do. They say they want me to photograph their wedding, and then there's no. So this is what we need. This is what we want you to do. These are the things we want pictures of. This is the plan. They just say, so we'll see you on the day, and we trust you to do what you do, and that's when I know yes, this is the right person. And we always have. I mean,
Mhm.
don't get me wrong. I will always have another discussion before the wedding, just to make sure that everything's absolutely fine. But I know that we're on the same wavelength when they've already given me that trust. They've said, "We've seen your website, we've read your words, we've watched you on Instagram," which is still a bit weird, but we want you to just do your thing. We trust you, and that's when I know yes, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a fantastic day. Um, I know I can do it, and now the biggest hurdle, the couple believe that I can do it as well. So they're going to have a fabulous day. They're not going to worry about the photographs. They can just get on with it. That's my job. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And don't get me wrong, I'm still going to sweat and I'm still going to stress and I'm still going to be anxious. But underneath all that is the knowledge. I think the absolute knowledge that I'm going to do a really good job for these people. I'm going to give them something that they love and that they can look at for the next 20, 30 years. And hopefully they'll tell all their friends about me and they can get in touch with me and the whole thing keeps on going after that. But yeah, that trust is the biggest part of the process. Once they
Yeah.
hand over the reins on their one of the biggest days of probably of their lives to that point, and they say yes, we trust you to just go and do it. That's what it's all about for me. The plans and the details and everything is very much secondary to the story that we're going to tell on the day,
Yeah.
and you're never quite sure what that story is going to be. That's what keeps me coming back every time. That little bit of the unknown, that bit of mystery. But I'm always confident that I'll do a good job. So, and that, yeah, that took a while. That took a while. I mean, that took years and years. In fact, yes, years and years before I was
Yeah.
confident enough to know pretty much whatever this wedding is going to throw at me, whoever the couple are, wherever they're getting married, and whatever the weather's going to be like, it's going to be fantastic. Um, yeah. So trust is
Yeah.
important.
Trust ourselves and trust from others. They go hand in hand, it sounds like. Yeah,
Yes,
from what you're saying.
absolutely. I need to do some public speaking things as well. I like what you've just said. That's my biggest fear at the moment is
Oh,
public speaking, and unfortunately, I've been asked to speak at a few events next year, photography related events, and I said yes before I realised that I'd never really spoken in front of real people before in a setting where they're actually photographers as well and they're going to listen to me and I've got to come up with something for an hour. So
yeah.
that's my biggest fear. Um, but I've already started addressing that. Sometimes I don't plan things out. So the non planning stage was saying yes to the gig. That was not planned. That's the spontaneous nature. I'm going to do this. Then the fear sets in, and now something that is hard for me to do, but I'm actually doing something about it. This month, I don't know, I'm doing a little story every day on my Instagram about photographers that I like,
Yeah.
and that it had a couple of different reasons. One, I wanted to actually share some photographers that I liked that I thought other people might like as well, because I'm always in our photography world at the moment. There's a lot of talk of community over competition, and that probably goes in every creative industry. But photographers are the ones who I see talking. So, community over competition. Everyone says it. Everyone hashtags it. Everyone does lots of posts about it. But it's always a lot easier to say community over competition and not actually go out and do something about it. So I thought December, let's do let's do a bit of sharing of the community. So every day a little story. So that was the first reason, but the second reason, the selfish reason, the motive behind everything is I said I'm going to do a story every day. So I am forced to talk to the camera for 1 minute every day uh, with no jokes. It's not a reel. It's not. There's no funniness. There's no cuts. I've just got to talk to the camera for 1 minute about photographers that I like.
Yeah.
So it's going to force me to get better at speaking on camera. It's got it's going to force me. I've said I'm going to do it. I'm up to day 10 now already. Oh no, day 11 today. Day 11. So I've got to do it. Um, so I'm hoping that by the end of this month, I should be slightly more. It should flow slightly easier than it did at the start of the month, because you've got to start somewhere, and
Hmm.
if this year has taught me anything, it's just get started. Just get started. I'd never really making a reel before this year. January was when I started posting videos, and they were garbage. No one liked them. And at the end of January, I posted every day in January, again as a challenge to myself, because reels are very popular. I'd never really done any, and I thought I want a slice of this action as well. I'm going to learn. I'm going to teach myself how to do them, and so I posted every day in January, and I've just been posting them ever since. And now I'm nearly a year later, and I've got a year now of knowing how to cut little videos together, and I'm getting better on how sound works and font sizes to fit on the screen, and how things get cropped, and how to
Hmm.
cut a video down. Actually, do you know what? Sometimes a minute and a half is too long. Cut that down, get rid of
Yeah.
all that stuff, and make the
Yeah.
message stronger, and all this stuff that people are now starting to ask me. Oh, I want to start posting content. I want to start making reels on Instagram, or I want to post TikToks. How do you get started? There's so much stuff to think about. And now I can actually say, from a place of a bit more experience, just start posting, just start doing it, accept that it's going to be crap, accept that no one's going to like them, accept that you might lose followers after a few days of doing it, but keep doing it. Everything that you post, everything that you do is a learning opportunity. And I think that's a cliche, but I
Hmm.
think, as I'm learning this year, all these cliches are only cliches because most of the time there's a huge element of truth to them.
Hmm.
Get started today, and in 12 months' time, you'll look back and you'll go, "My God, how far have I come from this point?" Um,
Yeah.
Here I am talking to you in Australia, and this has all come about because I've started posting daft videos of life as a wedding photographer. Who knows where it goes? Just get your stuff out there.
there They're
Yeah,
so brilliant, and I appreciate you sharing all of that. From my perspective, what makes what you do so much better than what a lot of other people do, and no shade, we all have to start somewhere, but even if someone's really good at editing and doing all the things, I might not like their videos. It really just comes down to the person and how they show up. I think, I'm very I
yeah,
can I remember you talking about how, when there's a hook, you just keep scrolling, and I really dislike that whole thing, and I
yeah,
had a business coach that was talking about that. Even Adam Mazzari's talking about that still, to have a hook and this and that. And I'm just like, there has to be a better way. There is a better way. And and for me, it's, we all have our own journeys around showing up online. And I think that and this was something that I wanted to talk to you about, but I also want to get into just the bare bones logistics of how you do what you do, because I'm just genuinely very curious, because I'm very jealous of your editing skills and how you do that. But um, it's, for me, it's been a real journey of using Instagram and thinking that, okay, if I just crack the code and get really good at it, it's going to make me money and whatever. And that's all fine. Some people can. And then it was like, but we all have our own journey. And I suppose from my own perspective, I've learned a great deal about myself. And I think there's a huge journey of self-expression when we learn to show up in front of the camera and speak, and then notice when we say something when it feels okay and we don't care if whoever sees it. And then other times where it's just, we get really insecure about something that we might have shared for some reason, and it's sort of, there's a risk of it perhaps being a bit of an echo chamber. And at present, I'm actually in a bit of a stepping away from it. But and it's actually been really good for me to get a new perspective, I think, on it. And how do I actually want to use social media?
yeah,
That I think is a really good question for people. Like, what do I want to get out of it? I'm a 4-6 is my profile. You're a 2-4. So we share this fourth line, and it's called the opportunist, but it's about our network. We are the networkers. We have our message that we want to share with people. Our opportunities come through our network. So
yeah,
when you talk about getting referrals and whatnot, I mean, that is the best way for fourth lines to be getting their clients through, or to be meeting friends or relationships, anything like that. It needs to come through our network. For you, it's unconscious. For me, it's conscious to me. But yeah, so I'm sort of reevaluating what I want to get out of it, but it's been really good in terms of experimenting, letting myself show up imperfectly. In fact, the more imperfect, the better,
mhm,
because there is so much bullshit out there. And to be a little more specific, and I know that you see it, we all see it, it's fakeness. it's
yeah.
it's it's inauthenticity, and that's something that you talk a lot about on your website, and maybe that's a big reason why I resonate with you, because I can just really feel that you're just showing up. You're like, here's me, here I am, and maybe you like me and maybe you don't, and okay, and it's just that simple.
Yeah, I think you the comment you made earlier about the not being a plan. I don't make we don't I don't make plans is so, like, so accurate.
Yeah.
Um, this this journey this year has had no plan, no rhyme or reason. I just started making little videos to see what would happen, and I found very quickly. I think I've said this on another podcast, but I found very quickly that I didn't like what everyone else was doing at the time. Not that what they were doing was wrong. It was that I felt that I couldn't do it the same way that they did it, because what a lot of people were doing was they were using the short form content in the correct way. They were trying to give advice to, in my little sphere, my little area. They were trying to give advice to the bride or the groom or the they were trying to give advice to the people getting married, and they were giving them advice in, I assume, in the hope that brides and grooms would follow them, would see that they were experts in their field, and would hopefully get in touch with them. And that's what they were doing. So I thought, okay, I can do that. That's fine. And I remember trying to make a couple of little videos, 3 things that you need to
Hmm.
consider when you're getting married, or
Yeah.
three things you should look at in a wedding venue, or don't never forget the thing on the day that you get married. And they were boring me to
Yeah.
tears. They were boring me, and it's because looking back on it now, I mean, I'm thinking about this for the first time, but looking back on it, I do think that the reason it never worked out for me in giving advice to the bride and groom is because that's not how I talk to the bride and groom when they first get in touch with me. That's not how I act on the wedding day itself.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
this place of giving advice, although I'm sure I'm full of advice and tips and tricks. It comes naturally, usually when something's happening at a wedding, and I go, oh, why don't we try this, or why don't you do that, or ask, do this way. But just sitting there and giving advice to people, it never really sat well with me, because that's not how I talk to my couples. Um, so there was never any kind of heart in it. It was just, I just thought, what tips could I make a reel about? And
Yeah.
everyone else was doing it and fine, and it was working for them, but it just didn't work for me, because that's not who I was. But the second I started talking to other photographers about our shared experiences and about silly things that happened to us, or how this the emotions that we feel when we book a wedding, or when we don't book a wedding, or when something goes wrong, or when something goes right. Now I was talking about the stuff that I was interested in. This is what I talk about with my friends. Um, this is more me, and it was a terrible business decision at the time, because attracting other photographers to my page is not how you get more wedding bookings. I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be supposed to be attracting the couples. I'm supposed to be giving the advice and making my page the go-to place for people who want to know all about getting married. But it just never worked for me. So I very quickly pivoted and decided to make things that amused me.
Yeah.
And it's been a very slow journey from that point. But I'm discovering now that things are happening that I would never have imagined back in January. The doors are opening for me.
Yeah.
This network that you mentioned is going to places that I would never have believed.
Yeah.
And it's a slow process. It's not a quick fix. But I feel now, looking back on this year, what I've been doing is subconsciously building something,
Yeah.
subconsciously towards the start, maybe more consciously now as the year draws to a close. I'm building something that maybe will come to more fruition next year or the year after that. And it's not just a quick fix. I need to get some bookings in. Let's do some reels. Let's give some tips about stuff. I'm slowly building this I don't know, this community, these connections with other people. I'm speaking to people in Australia and America and across the world, and people are getting in touch with me, and wedding planners are getting in touch with me, and other photographers are interested in working with me, and people want me to talk at photography conferences next year. And it's slow, but I feel like there's something happening. I feel like we're at the beginning, even though I've been doing it all year, and I've been posting and pulling my hair out, and engaging, and just, I think, using social media the way that I should have been using it years ago, which is as a real social tool, because I've done just as much engaging with other people as they've done with me. I've had a complete mindset shift this year. I've gone from the cynical, introverted, um, slightly bitter. I don't want to say that I was completely miserable and bitter, but I think I was a lot more defensive, and I didn't want to talk to other photographers, because the second that I show love and appreciation to another photographer, they're going to steal all my work.
Yeah.
That's how I viewed it. So
Yeah.
this year, I tried to flip that on its head, and I'm trying to show appreciation and love to as many photographers who come across my path. Not just photographers, anyone who comes across my path, who's following me and or engages with me or messages with me. I'm trying to mirror that and give it back to them. And since I've started doing that, it's gone very, very positively. It's
Yeah.
going in the right direction, I think.
I That's something that I wanted to touch on with you today, because that's something that I really respect in you, and other people that are like that. And similarly, there's people who aren't like that that I don't have a lot of respect for. But I think it's just very important. And I wonder how much of that is our fourth line thing coming out, with understanding the importance of nurturing our network. Um, on some level. There's a woman in the UK. She's a wedding makeup artist, Genevieve Turley. She's got quite a few followers
Yeah.
online. She's very funny. But she's similar, she's got 250,000 odd followers, and you can
Wow.
reply to her story and she'll do a quick reply. I got her
Yeah.
details. She's a 4-6 as well. She's another fourth line. So that's why I say maybe it's a fourth line
Oh,
thing. But she's so generous. What it is, it's a generosity of spirit that we have in engaging with people. And at least for me, I mean, I feel that it's really important to, because I can relate to having maybe some people follow me or message, and I kind of go, ooh, I don't really like, what is their intention? I don't know that I want to reply, whatever. But it's what you've said, I think, with opening up around that and not perhaps being afraid of people in a sense, and
yeah.
um, engaging with people just in a kind way. We're all humans. We all have our own struggles, and someone turns into a pest, we can deal with it. But
Yeah, I think um, everyone who messages me or leaves a comment, I think I try to respond to everybody. I was doing a much better job of it before it got very, very crazy. But generally, yeah, if someone takes the time to message me and they've got a question, or they want to say something nice, I'm flattered. I open my
Mm,
phone in the morning and I see messages and I go, "Oh, that's so cool." I give them a like and I have a little look at their page, and I can't follow everyone back, but I try and I have a little look at their stuff and I'll answer the question. And they yeah, sometimes it's just, "What's that camera belt that you're wearing?" And I'll say, "Yeah, it's a think tank belt. I'm not sponsored, but I've used it for 10 years and it's fantastic." And they go, "Thank you very much," and they go on their way. And
yeah.
it's just cool that people. I don't know. This year, I'm so open and so happy that people like the daft things that have been posting, um, and I just want to nurture the network. What you said was is a fantastic phrase, and really amazing things happen from it. Which are not my intention. It was never. None of this is from a deliberate desire to have people get in touch with me and to create
Yeah.
networks. And this is all almost as an afterthought. 10 months later, it's an afterthought. This is what's happening, but um, people did I mean, I'm sure I'm going to go out today. There's about 6 or 7 photographers who I've been friends with for a few years, quite a few years, and I've not seen them in a year or 2 years. And I'm pretty sure they're going to say, What are you doing on Instagram? What is all this nonsense? How are you making How are you making money out of this? Out of posting reels every day? And like, what's the point? You've not what where's the monetization coming from? And yes, they might be talking sense, but I've seen too many accounts that I've been interested in get a little bit of traction, and then all that they post from that point on is selling stuff or selling a course or selling photography. Lightroom presets is a big thing in
Mhm,
the photography world.
mhm.
And that's it. That's all you get. You get 10 selling posts to every one normal post,
Yeah,
and you kind of fall out of love with them a little bit. And I never wanted to be that kind of person. Not that I've got that much traction that I could do that. I've had the odd message, and I've done a little collaboration with a company that I use, where I get a little bit of something if someone signs up. But I think I'm the worst ambassador because I don't post anything about it. But it
imagine.
might. But the I hope she doesn't see this bit. I'm sure she'll watch it. She might not get this far. But like the head of the ambassador group, she loves me. She keeps on messaging me saying everything's fantastic. So I don't think they're going to boot me out of the program yet. But I think that's where the power of personality, maybe. Oh God, I hate saying that I've got a
Yeah,
personality, but the power of you as a person and what you do, it gets to the point where you can be you if you stay authentic to what you do, then people don't mind if occasionally you plug a little thing that you've got.
yeah,
People don't mind because I don't mind. I've seen creators that I love. I will watch their videos, and if they plug something, I don't get upset. If they have a little discount code, I'm not bothered.
yeah,
They if they earn a little bit of money doing whatever it is they do, they get to continue to produce the cool videos that I like to watch. Not bothered at all. But I didn't want to become like I've seen a few people. They get inundated with the Timu and the
mhm.
AliExpress and all with the apps and the gadgets and everything. And I don't know, it never feels as authentic as other creators that I watch who seem to really manage to stay true to themselves, which is what I've always, which is what I want to do. If I get collaborations or brand deals or anything like that, it's got to stay authentic to what I do.
Yeah.
Um, and oh gosh, I've gone off on a tangent. I'm not sure what I was talking about. Um,
Well, uh, I mean, if it comes back to you, please step in. But I would say that you as a second line, you're not here to sell yourself, so you're doing it exactly right.
oh
And
yes, it's
seeing
come
you
back.
do.
Yeah, that's it. That's what that's what I was trying to say. Um, so yeah, so I'm not taking on all kinds of these little weird and wonderful things because
Yeah.
I'm looking at the longer picture. I'm looking at the creators that I see with the huge followings who are now able to c- continue creating the content, the videos, but because they have such a great reputation and a strong community and a loyal following, when they monetize what it is they do, it's generally with something really cool, like an in-person workshop.
Hmm.
I'd love to put on a photography workshop in Scotland, in the mists on the side of a hill, and be have 20 photographers there, and we're there for a couple of days, and I can be in there and I can teach people, and we can do content creation, and then we can go and sit in a gorgeous hotel and have a whiskey and discuss, you know, people's social media presence, and let's figure this out, and I can really give them some value and teach them, and I can come away from that and think, again, I did the best that I could do. I hope everyone thought that they were getting their money's worth. That's going to enable me to continue building something. Maybe I can do another one of these events, and that's how I would like to monetize what I do. I love the teaching side of things. It's something that I found a little passion for it this year, which I never knew I had, but I'll tell you that in a minute. Um, that's how I would like to monetize what I'm doing now. So for me, it's a building opportunity. Everything that I do doesn't have to be monetized. I don't have to have a special offer. I don't have to push you to a link, or to buy
Yeah.
my mini course. That doesn't mean I'm not going to try and do something, but it's always going to be something that's good and that I can put my name on it, and it won't be a fake company somewhere that says, wherever it is, so I can disassociate myself with it, because it's a scam. You've seen all the courses online. There's a lot of crap.
Yeah.
I would love to do something that could help someone, so that then they could say to their little photography circle, that Andrew Keher, he's got this real creation course going on, and it's all right. It's worth the £30 or whatever it is. That's fantastic. I'd love to do that one day. But so when my friends later, when they say, "What are you doing? Why why aren't you? How does this get you more wedding bookings?" I'm going to have to try and explain to them that it's a slow, long process. It's building that network. It's getting my name in front of people, the right people at the right time. It's going to be that wedding planner at some point who's got this gorgeous wedding in Lake Como is going to say, "I'm going to get in touch with Andrew." That's what I'm building. It's a super network. It's not just a little network. It's a super network
And it's
across the
step by
world,
step. It's
and it's
step
step
by
by step.
step,
Yes.
which is exactly right for a generator. It's this step towards mastery, and you let life reveal itself to you, and you respond in each moment, and you see where you're going next. It's not driven by sort of mental scheming, if you will. I can tell
Mm,
that what you're thinking about, it's fine. We all think about things. What you're thinking about is not coming from this, even though Capricorns are famous for having a 5-year plan. It's really more about what can I bring to my community, to this world? What's going to bring me satisfaction?
yeah.
What can I contribute? And I'm going to go deep here for a moment, but so much in your chart has to do with uh, transcending limitations, transcending the mundane, if you will. There's this energy to find more meaning in life. And I'm going to read out a little bit about. So you're on the right angle cross of laws, and you're such a natural teacher. It's not unsurprising that you've just sort of realized this in the last little while. And you're a natural storyteller. I mean, you've got all of this mutative. And when I share this, I'm going to have your chart in the middle so that people who can
Cool.
can look at it, who know what it means. But you've got all of this powerful mutative potential. This, and when I say mutative, it's really, I mean, when a mutation occurs, it's a change that doesn't get reversed. It doesn't go back to how it was, right? And so you've got these three really powerful channels coming off of your root center, going up to your sacral and your spleen. And then you have separated up top, going from your ajna to your throat, um, the a channel which is all about like seeking and storytelling and reflecting on the past and ideas and ideals and idealism and wandering through the world, and just seeking out and seeing what is there to discover. But there is no end in sight. The point is not to get to the end, it's this continuous
Yeah.
discovery. But what you have as the cross in human design is something that sort of grabs us, but it's an underlying theme in our lives that is sort of what um, drives everything for us, if you
Yeah.
will. So, the cross of laws, it's really beautiful. Okay, so this is where I wanted to ask you more about your storytelling. It's something you're gifted with, yes, even though it might be something you don't immediately recognize in yourself. And that's because you have Neptune activations up there, and Neptune veils everything, that he's the channel and the gate. On your website, you write, your wedding will be a story worth telling, a story of love, connection, joy, and wild places, a story for you and future generations to cherish. And going to this right angle cross of laws, it talks about selling an idealistic dream, being stimulated and stimulating others with your idealism, mutating and changing society's laws and values through your ideals. And everything how you express where you want to go with this, why you do what you do, why you do it the way that you do it, um, really speaks to this, as well as your open ego center, which is also willpower. And I have a defined ego. The difference with this, and it just is this really beautiful concoction of all of this energy together with this stimulation of ideas and ideals to basically to change the laws, to change the way that people function, right? Like on Instagram, in the community, it's this community over competition thing that you talk about. But the undefined ego center, it doesn't do it in a really strong, forceful way. It does it in a very um, there's still a strength and a potency to it, but it's different to the defined ego like I have, where I'm here to prove things. I don't care about proving anything to anyone else. I'm here to prove things to myself.
Yeah.
That sort of grit that comes through, right? But for people with the undefined ego like yourself, you can very easily, and I'm sure you can reflect on times in your past where you've fallen into traps of thinking that you have to prove things. This comparison trap that you were talking about in your last podcast around, like, oh, I need to get the award, or comparing to this and that. I mean, that
Yeah.
just screams that like undefined ego that has some healing to do. And just as some context, 65% of this planet has an undefined or open ego center like yourself. So most people,
Yeah.
everyone's walking around thinking that they have to prove something to know that they have worth. Their underlying wound is, I don't have value. Like, holy shit, do I not have value? I need to prove that I have value, right? It's this sort of really deep core wound that so many people carry. So,
Yeah.
but when you can move through that, whether knowing about human design or not, right? And it's a story that plays out in our heads all the time, and we just slowly get better at not responding to it. Like, you're not here to prove yourself. What a fucking relief, right? Right. And so how you share, I'm like, this man is onto it. He's doing what he does, and he's doing it in his own beautiful way, with humility and care and kindness and respect and openness and generosity. And you're going to change your world in doing so, and the people that you touch.
That's uncanny because the yeah the the last 11 years of photography, over the last 11 years, 10 years of those, probably not the first couple of years. when I was finding my way. And I always think back to that starting in photography as the innocent, fearless years when I wasn't worried about upsetting anyone, or I wasn't afraid what other photographers would think about my work. There was a naivety, but also a fearlessness from that,
Mhm.
which meant I didn't care. I didn't care what anyone thought of me. Not purposefully that I didn't care, like the way some people say, "I don't care. I don't care what people thought." I just didn't think of other people, of other photographers in that way that I should
Yeah.
care. Like I didn't know any other photographers. This is my little corner of Facebook because we used Facebook then, not Instagram. This is my little corner. I'm going to post what pictures I think are quite cool. Trolls didn't exist, so who who cares? After 2 or 3 years, that's when the doubt started to creep in, and as I
Mhm.
got connected with more and more of my peers in the community, and I realized that, oh gosh, there's a lot of good photographers out there. Wow, they are they are so up here in the stratosphere that I don't want to post any of my pictures because how can my how can my pictures exist in the same dimension as these other pictures which are so much better than mine? And that was the mental decline. I think after a few years, I got better and better at what I did, and I think my pictures were pretty good. But this comparison thing just gets greater and greater. And yes, you enter the awards, you win the awards, you enter the next awards, someone else wins it instead of you. You get a bit irate about that because I think I'm better than that person. And all these different emotions and negativity swirling around, and culminated in this year for the first time in me deciding that I'm going back to the beginning and I now do not care. Although this was more of a, I know of the existence of everybody else on social media, and now I do not care. I'm just going to post stuff that entertains me. I'm going to post photographs that I like, and I'm going to stop caring. I've only got about 10 years left of running around at weddings before my back goes, so I don't care anymore. And from that letting go, I've not entered any awards or anything this year. I specifically, there's a big one in the UK called the Wedding Industry Awards, and no shade on them at all. I love what they do, and I have entered them a lot. But I thought I don't need that emotional roller coaster of the awards night of seeing who else is going to win. I'm not going to enter. So things like that. And then this weird thing happened once I started posting these videos, and I keep talking about these videos as though there's some great works of cinema, but you know what I mean.
There.
I posted these videos, and this weird
They're so good.
mentality,
Sorry, they're so funny. I'm just thinking of them. Keep going.
the weird mentality shift came in, which was kind of like, and this is going to sound weird, and I don't think I've said this to anyone before. Let me see if I can form the words. At some point, I'm not sure when it was, but at some point, I did come to the realization that it's not that I didn't care anymore. It's that I was doing something that I knew no one else could touch in in to what I was doing. And I don't mean that as in I'm better than anybody else. What I mean is for what I was doing, in the way that I was, my personality in those videos, no one else can do this.
Yeah.
And this is me. This is my thing. And it was such a release because I knew that in photography we obsess over other other people's pictures and how they edit things and the words they use on their website. We can all look at each other's websites and see what they say, and we can copy things if we want, and we can. we can buy each other's editing process. We can buy presets so you can look like your favorite photographer. Um, there's this underlying feeling that at any moment someone can come along and take your lunch. They can shoot better
Mm.
than you. They can steal your couples. They can copy your website. They can steal your ideas on your photographs. Whatever. That's just something we all have to deal with. And to separate ourselves, we often say that it's not just about the photographs, it's about the personality behind. It's about the photographer. Find the perfect photographer that suits you. And that's how we've often differentiated ourselves. And I knew when I got to a certain point, I thought, no one can steal this from me because this is me. I've got to the point now where this is me. And the algorithm works in weird ways, but the algorithm was showing me a lot of photography, comedy sketches, some of them very well produced, because I'm only doing things on my phone and I'm not a videographer, but there's people with actual cinema grade cameras doing these comedy skits and with better sound, better lighting, and scripts and voiceovers and all kinds of cool things. But they just didn't do it for me. There's no personality behind what I was seeing,
Yeah.
and that made me realize I've got something. I've got something that no one can take now. So let's build on that. Let's create something around that. And again, it was not from a place of big headedness at all. There was no, and I hope that hasn't come across wrong. But there was no ego.
No.
It was just when I realized that I've managed to get something that no one can really copy because I have no plan. I have no
Yeah.
methodology to what I do.
So much. Yeah.
It's just things that pop into my head that particular day. Let's go and make something awkward about it, or
Ha-
cool, or
It's
whatever it is. Um,
so self-validating, Andy, because to go from being in this industry where you compare yourself, and we all compare ourselves, I feel like everything that you're saying can be overlaid on everything,
yeah.
whether you're a human design reader, you work in a store, you sell ice cream. It's like, well, there's 10 people that sell ice cream here. So why would they come here? And well, it's actually not that hard. Just show yourself, and
Yeah.
I know that you didn't do that until this year. You were the mysterious person behind sharing
Yes.
lovely photos. And now you've rewritten the rules. You've rewritten the rules and you're doing it your own way. You're letting yourself be seen, really. And you say it's not fancy and you're doing it. I don't know how you do what you do, and I'm not too bad with creating reels and whatnot. So but I know that I mean, vulnerability for second lines is kind of like the thing that sets you free, because with second lines there is so much. I mean, you're transparent, people can see into you, and that's why it's the hermit, because it can be uncomfortable to feel so seen all the time. So that was something that I wanted to ask, what your journey has been around. I mean, do you resonate with that? And how have you sort of made friends with your vulnerability, I suppose, over the last year?
Wow, that's a good question. I think if you stop to think about how many, if I add up all the views and the comments and things, that's actually slightly unnerving that that many people have seen them. But maybe mentally, I don't. I build a wall so I don't have to think about that, because
Yeah.
yes, it's quite unnerving. But the nice thing is, and I don't know why, because this doesn't seem to happen to anyone else, but the number of positive comments compared to negative comments, I think it should be studied, because I have so few negative comments that I'm kind of a little bit scared that it's coming. It's going to be a tidal wave at some point, because there's been a few reels that have done well in the photography um, community, number of views and comments and things, and I don't know how I've escaped the wrath of the internet. I don't know. It's at the moment I'm not. The vulnerability thing has not been a huge issue for me, and maybe because I haven't really experienced the negative sides of it yet.
Mm.
I'm sure it'll happen. There's been the odd comment, but that is just life, isn't it? That's the internet. But I thought when the first one went slightly slightly viral, I think it got 1 million views, which was amazing.
Mm.
I thought, oh crap, this is going to be this is going to be horrendous. I'm going to open this and I'm going to have to close it quickly because there's just going to be loads of things saying, look at his
I'm
face,
gonna have to close it quickly.
look at his face, look at his hair, look at his shoes. Why does he? What's that? What's the camera that he's using? Why is he doing this? He sounds like an idiot. I thought that's what I was going to see, and I know they say that all engagement is good engagement, but I can't deal with all that kind of stuff. But luckily, it never, it never came, and I don't know what the reason is, but I've managed to survive so far without too much negative energy coming my way. At least not to my face. Maybe there's the odd WhatsApp group here and there where they're all slagging me off and sharing the videos. But
I can't
um,
imagine that.
so yeah, so the vulnerability side of things hasn't really been an issue because everything's stayed pretty positive. So it's nice. I kind of I've never worried too much about the engagement or the views. It was nice at the start because I think I posted for a while and lost followers, and I
Mm.
thought, oh, whatever. And I kept going anyway, and things have done well. But I've always said to people, don't worry now. I've seen how it all. I've seen the peaks and the troughs of the engagement and the views and things. So I've said, just post your reel. Don't worry about the views and the likes and the comments. Just make something that makes you happy, and then go on to the next day and post something else, or post a photograph, or do another reel, and don't look at it. Don't look at the stats for at least a month. Just post things that make you happy because it is way too easy to get caught up in the number of likes and comments and followers
Yeah.
um, thing, um, and it's pretty meaningless because for me, I would like to shoot 20 weddings every year. That's it. 20 weddings will do me. So I just need to find 20 couples. I don't need 10 million followers. I don't need tons of engagement. Likes are meaningless. All I need is 20 couples to see my work and go, "Yes, we're going to book you." So it when you when you think about it, like, please don't worry if anyone is listening to this and they're looking at getting into their own little real creation phase. Don't worry about the metrics. Don't worry about that too much. Just break it down. What do you need from what you're doing? If you yes, if you're selling mini courses, you'd like to sell 10,000 mini courses this year. Okay, well you're going to have to get seen by a few more people then. So that's what you need to do. But for me, that's been a help mentally, knowing that I just need to find 20 people to resonate with my stuff. So the likes and the shares and the engagement is all fantastic, but all I just have to keep reminding myself, I just need those few key people at the right time to see me and to get in touch. So I've never pored over the details of how my stuff do. I don't have a As I say, I don't have a plan. People have Excel spreadsheets on the best times to post and the numbers and the keywords that they used versus the the engagement that they got, and at what second of the reel everyone tuned out, and all this kind of stuff that to me, it's not what I'm. It's not why I started doing it. I started doing it to teach myself how to make little videos, to build a little bit of a community of other photographers, because it's a bit of a lonely job, and it's nice to talk to other people in the same boat as you, and hopefully to get my name out a little bit more, so that either a couple who are getting married, or maybe a venue or a wedding planner, might remember my name. That's I think that's the whole. Who was it? You have to be seen 3 times for the
Mm.
name to stick in someone's mind. Or was that a brand? Something like that. So I thought the more that I get my name out in my little community, when someone's thinking of they've got a wedding that they can't cover, what other photographers? Who can I get in touch with? Oh, Andrew, he lives in Liverpool. That's 10 minutes from me. I went out for a beer that one time, and he was there. I'll get in touch with him. I'll ask him. That was it. So everything else is just this lovely, happy bonus on top of it. So I don't overthink it. I think that's the key. Don't overthink it. Don't don't obsess over the details too much. Just make something that you like. Make something that makes you go, oh yeah, I like that. That's cool. Um, and otherwise, you'll go crazy trying to work out what it is that other people like. If we could unlock the algorithm, that's what worrying about that too much is what sends people over the edge. And once you stop enjoying what it is that you're doing, then what's the point? We might as well go back to our 9 to 5s, and and worry about that instead. So yeah, stop worrying. Make something that you like, and be consistent with it. And who knows what will happen after that? Again, I've forgotten what the original point of this was. But
No, it's a fourth line thing. We get stuck on our
losing my
fixed
marbles.
fixed
Yeah.
fixedness of sort of getting out the message that we want to get out. So
Yes. Cool.
um I just want to know, logistically speaking, like, what programs do you use?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So all I all I tend to use, I've tested a few little things, and I think it's what I'm always trying to do is
Yeah, love it.
simplify the process, because as a photographer, I do have a lot of gear. I have a lot of equipment. I have a lot of lights and computers and editing programs. But you have to, when especially when you're trying to post a reel every day, you have to simplify things. So at the moment, I record on my phone, just an iPhone. I used to use an iPhone 12, so a previous couple of generations. So you don't have to have the latest and greatest. I use one of these things,
Oh yeah, little octopusy thing.
little octopus thing with a
Yeah,
phone holder,
yeah.
and then the actual editing software which I'm enjoying at the moment. Now, bear in mind, I've got DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, which are the big hitters if you're going to do something serious. I am finding that CapCut, again,
Mm,
not sponsored, CapCut is doing seriously good work with the apps on the phone, and also you
yeah.
can download it onto your laptop or your desktop now as
Oh,
well. And
cool.
what it can do, it's obviously simplified compared to some of the big programs, but they are really leveraging AI so that you can get those captions that go across the screen.
Hmm.
Fantastic. You can cut yourself out of the background. Amazing. Don't need
Yeah,
a green screen. And it's
yeah.
just good enough quality, I think, for stories and reels. Um, so at the moment, I use CapCut. I use my phone. I don't like putting them together on my phone, I need a slightly bigger screen. So I record all my clips. I have the whole reel in my mind before I start doing it. I can see what I'm going to do. I can see the facial expressions and and how it's gonna pan out. So that's always good. I don't generally need to write anything down. I can see it and I know how it's going to unfold, and I can hear the music as well. It's the music's got it's going to do this, and I'm going
Yeah.
to do this, and then I'm going to fall in the volcano. That's
Yeah,
what's going to
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. How do you do
And
that?
so everything then gets airdropped to my computer here, and I open CapCut usually at this point, drag all those clips in, trim them down. Um, then I get this is a convoluted, but I like to have a little look on Spotify then and find some songs, and I'll record the song on my phone and then drag that into CapCut. So it's crap quality, but the song's there,
Yeah.
and then I arrange the clips where I want them, and I know that the song's there, and then I delete the song because I'm going to use Instagram's song. So
Ah.
I set everything out with a crappy version of the song choice that I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Get everything set out, then delete the song,
Mm.
export it, airdrop it back to my phone, put it into Instagram, and then I add the song back in through Instagram's feature.
Yeah.
And a pro tip: make sure that they've got that song on Instagram before you spend an hour
Yeah.
arranging everything. So yeah, then it's just inside Instagram. So
Yeah.
it's I keep it simple. I mean, it does take a little while to do all that, but generally and honestly, you can do most of it with your phone, with CapCut,
Yeah.
and you just have to get slightly creative with the music side of things because like I'll find the song on Spotify. I'll literally hold my phone up to the computer, record, record, get everything lined up, then delete the song.
Yeah.
That's the key bit, and then add the song back inside Instagram. And
Yeah.
for things like the volcano, um, I've got a little light that does different things. So like a red light. So I went
Mm-hmm.
in the garden and illuminated myself with the red light and started putting it together inside so I did actually use Final Cut Pro
Okay.
for the volcano one, only because I wanted to use some little overlays, some sparks.
Yeah.
There's some little sparks which you
And
can
then
download from.
yeah.
There's a few stock footage sites like Adobe Footage, Adobe Stock, Motion Effects, I think is one of them. Various other stock footage things. So I occasionally will sign up to one of these sites for the month, make
Mm-hmm.
some videos, and then forget to cancel my account and get
Smash
another
your
month
phone.
out of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
find little bits of stock footage, put them together. But the music's very important. I like to try and edit to the music track, which I find is
Mm.
quite cool. And I mean that's it really. I mess around quite a lot. I watch little YouTube tutorials on how to do different things, and I'll play around. And every time I make one, it's like a little learning experience. Try and learn a little technique. I
Yeah.
hadn't even I didn't have CapCut or anything back in January. I did everything inside Instagram's own video editor, so that can be done too. It's just a pain in the arse. And often Instagram will just delete captions and
Oh yeah, that's painful.
remove your music, and
Yeah.
it all goes horribly wrong. So I
Yeah.
find that by doing it inside a different program,
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, you've got it right there. You can re-upload it, and you don't have to go through that horrible thing where you've made a lovely video, you've uploaded it, and Instagram has decided to ruin it, and then you go, oh God, and you try and go back into the draft, you delete it, send it to drafts, and your captions are gone, and you have to. It's
Yeah.
horrendous. It's yeah. Try and do it externally. Send it back to your phone and post it. But yeah, I mean the the I think the real building of the reels comes from where you put your camera
Yeah.
and the scenes that you use and thinking about it in a vertical format. So keep things central, give yourself enough space around the outside. Think about scene changes, far away, close up. Um, think of unusual angles as well. And yeah, I mean that's a whole. It's a whole other thing in itself. That would be interesting to. That's why I really want to try and do a workshop about that, because I feel once I start to really think about it and explain how things are done, I'll be able to say, oh yeah, and this is how I get the music from there to there, and this is how I do this, and oh yeah, and I like to add, because I work by myself. I really love the slight um, shake that you get when someone else is recording you. So I'll
Mm.
add that in post production. That
Oh,
little
wow.
shake that
Oh,
you might notice it a little bit now that I've said it,
okay.
but
Yeah.
I love that because it kind of makes me feel like someone else is recording me, and it's not just me sticking it on a tripod. So I like that little shake, and yeah, there's all kinds of little things that I probably do that, because I've been doing it now all year, that it comes naturally as I'm going through the process. But someone else might be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What's that you've just done there? What's that? Why have you made
Yeah.
the screen go all shaky? Or
Yeah.
what's how did you do that zoom in? Or how did you choose that music? Or whatever it happens to be."
I love it. And that the logistics are things that people um we just don't have the same attention to detail that you do in terms of how you lay it out in your mind and then execute it. I know for me, I might have an idea for something, but then I get overwhelmed about how much energy it's going to take to actually do it. But
Yeah,
I have, there's it's so much fun to create these things and to put energy into it. But when you don't really know what you're doing, it can feel kind of like then you just do then I just do something that is good enough or okay, but it doesn't really give a great deal of sort of satisfaction, I suppose, from
yeah,
doing what
yeah,
you do. But the other thing that I think would, if and when you do this course and you go through the minutia with people, is I I is to help people understand this story building element.
yeah.
Um,
That's the biggest part of it.
It
That's
is. It is. And even though I have half of your channel, I have gate 11 in quite a prominent place. Well, actually, we both have it in, yes, in our incarnation cross, but you have the whole channel. But, even still, I think that, yeah, it's just hard for me to kind of go beginning, middle, and end and make it a cohesive story for people. It's not something that I
that's
automatically think of. And I think that's probably what's missing from a lot of what I do.
the, when I started doing the reels, I was more trying to find out how to actually create the stupid things and get them online and get the
Yeah.
sound working. But as the year has progressed, the storytelling aspect of the reel is now my number one priority. So I
Yeah.
have I have I've slowed down a little bit over the last couple of months, but that's only because of the time of the year. It's the end of all the weddings from the summer. So my time is kind of dwindled away. But we're coming up to January, and that means I'm quiet, and that
Mhm.
means I'm on it. So I have a huge list of as an idea hits me, I type it into my notes app on my phone. So just this morning, I've one, two, three, four, five. I've got five ideas from having a cup of coffee and having my cereal. And sometimes it's just two words, sometimes it's a sentence. Um, and when I scroll up, I see some ideas that I did turn into videos. Wedding dress hanging up falls down. That was one that I did.
Yeah.
Um, this one, this is more of this is one I've not turned into a reel because I wanted to do it properly. This one wasn't going to be a comedy sketch as such. It was going to finish on a message for other photographers because I'd seen something that day that annoyed me online, and it was people complaining about the old guy with a camera at a wedding. And in the community, they're known as Uncle Bobs. And we say, oh gosh, there's Uncle Bob with his camera. He's coming to tell me how to do my job, or he's coming to get in the way, or whatever it happens to be. And I just thought, so for this story, it's the annoying old guy with the old camera at the wedding. That's her granddad. So that was the sentence that I've put. But in my mind, that's going to be me getting annoyed with this guy, and he's going to be in the way, and he's going to ask me a stupid question about how to take a picture, and I'm going to be tutting and posting it in my WhatsApp group. Oh my god, this guy. Well, that's her granddad who's brought his camera, and that's his granddaughter who's getting married, and my place in this pecking order is nowhere near his place. I'm not important.
Mm.
He's a VIP. He's one of the most important people there. And sometimes, as photographers who I saw complaining online, we're very, very, very quick to judge people who bother us because sometimes we have this feeling that we are the main event. We are the photographers. We run this show. We're the ones who are capturing the memories. How dare this person get in our way with his old camera? And I thought there's a message there that you don't know the story behind everything. And sometimes the better story would be to take the picture of Grandad taking a picture of his granddaughter and not
Yeah.
just to walk off complaining about it and thinking I'm going to make a story about that later. What do they? Public service announcement. Please don't get in your wedding photographer's way. We're paid to be there. You know what I mean? So I had this whole thing in my head, and I've not done that yet, but it's on my list. I have this list of all kinds of things that I'm going to do. So write everything down because I don't know where this works on the chart, but I have these ideas, amazing ideas. Within 2 minutes, I've completely forgotten what it was that my amazing idea was,
Yeah.
and so I try and write everything down now. But the storytelling element of it, yes, the storytelling element is the most important bit because you'll see a lot of funny videos that don't have a story. They're they're memes. They're just something funny that happens. It's for a quick like. There's nothing wrong with them, but to just like in photography, you want your work to stand out more than anyone else's because you want the people to book you. So to elevate your short form content above the next person's is the storytelling element. You've got to
Hmm.
try and aim for that beginning, middle, and end. Try and have the main character, maybe the guide who's going to guide them on their quest, um, the the person who needs help. I don't know. There's a structure, isn't there, for stories that generally every story follows in one way or another.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, storytelling is the difficult part, and that is something I really want to push. I've got to have a story, and I think as well, you don't over analyze, don't overthink the story, as in the story needs to, when we say story, we don't mean it's got to be this narrative driven extravaganza. It's just got to have a beginning with a problem, the thing that happens, and the conclusion. That's all it is. It's just a beginning, a middle, and an end. And sometimes I'm fantastic at finding the beginning and the middle, but I can't draw it all together with a nice conclusion.
Mm,
Um, which is, for example, when I did one where I threw my camera bag into the garbage truck and it got
mhm,
crushed because
mhm.
my couples um, said thanks instead of saying that I was the best photographer in the world. So it would be easy to say the idea is they don't say that I'm the best photographer in the world. I'm going to throw all my bags into the garbage truck. That's the end of it. But the story
Mm.
is the garbage truck drives off and the phone goes and they say, I can't quite remember, but they say, I'm so sorry about that. I didn't mean to press send. Thank you very much for all the photographs. These are absolutely amazing. We're going to recommend you to everyone. And you can't, and I'm looking at my phone as the truck drives off. So that's the conclusion. It doesn't have to be mind blowing, but
Yeah.
whenever you think you've got to the end of the sequence, just think, hang on, what's that extra element that draws it all together? Or when I fell into the mine often have the phone, the mobile phone goes. So when I fell into the volcano, that's when the my groom texted me and said, "Only joking.
Yeah.
We love the photographs. How's the trip to Iceland doing?" Because obviously that one never started out as me being in Iceland. That was just I wanted to fall into a volcano. Where I thought then, well, of course, Iceland has lots of volcanoes.
Yeah.
Photographers love going to Iceland, so that was the afterthought. I'd made the reel, um, but the last bit was the addition of the last little text message that pops up. How's the Iceland trip going? Because that ties it into the volcano. So
Yeah.
yes, sometimes yeah, you think about the story, and although saying that, one of the popular ones that I did was when someone knocks on my front door, asks if I do photos. I say, "What kind of photos are you interested in?" And then they run away. So
Yeah.
it's like if DMs were in real life, because we
Yeah.
all get ghosted from time to time, and that didn't really have a conclusion. That was just me shutting the front door and then me running off down the street. But that did very well. That did very well. So I mean, there's nothing scientific about this at all. But for me, I think in my heart, I love a conclusion to the story. And if I can get a conclusion into those 60 seconds or minute and a half or whatever, then I can pat myself on the back and kind of go, that, yeah, I like that. I'm going to post that. I'm happy with that one. Um, Life would be a lot easier if I just posted memes from movies and said, oh, look, this is the photographer arriving at bridal prep. And then there's a movie scene of, I don't know, Dorothy's house blowing up in a tornado in The Wizard of Oz or something. And great, everyone shares it, but that's not my personality. That's just a meme. So try and get your personality, trying to put my personality into everything that I do has been, if I did have a list, if I did have a plan, that would be one of the top items. It's me or it's you. It's your personality. What's your personality? Try and put that into the reel. Um, Hyper, it's a hyper personality. It's a caricature of what you would really be like. But
Mm.
I'm really enjoying the stoic character who often overreacts in very dramatic ways. Um, I
Yeah.
suppose would be
Bit of an
where I'm
idiot
at.
character. I
Yes,
just love
very
just love
much.
it. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so absolutely, storytelling super important, beginning,
Yeah.
middle, and end. And I'm hoping next year I can really crank it up and really start going for it in these little stories. Um, I think now that I mean, I've posted, I don't know, 300 reels, 250 reels. I don't know. This year was quite a few. I think now is going to be, now that I've reached a nice little position, I can start to post more photographs and maybe save the reels to one a week, but really try and make something cool.
Mm.
So I've done the work. I've put loads and loads of effort into it to try and make the reels work, to try and figure them out. And now that I think people are enjoying them, I can concentrate on actually making them more interesting, or just high value, cool to look at, cool to watch,
Mm.
and reduce the quantity, because it's hard work trying to do them every day.
Yeah.
And you really don't have to do that. I was just being a bit crazy with that
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah.
um but yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I really like the blooper reel. I love that one of you going into the tattoo shop. Like, I love everything about it. I could just watch it over and over and over. The glasses, and just
Yeah, that
everything.
was fun.
That was, oh, it was brilliant. And then your little blooper reel where you can kind of see how your mind works behind it was really a great little glimpse
I
as
you
well.
know I wish I do have a lot of clips on my phone, and I really need to do another one of those. I think the problem, I look back at some of them. I tried to put one together the other day, actually, um, momentarily. I will do one, but a lot of the time it's just me looking at the camera and then forgetting what I'm supposed to do, and then going, and then turning the camera off. There's not usually some cool problem that happens. It's
Yeah.
usually turn the camera on, and I
Yeah.
look at it, and then I go, and then I'll just turn it off again. I've got hundreds and hundreds of clips like that. Maybe that would be the one. Maybe that would be the one to post. Just lots of clips of me not knowing what to say.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, so funny. Well, Andrew, this has been a really fun conversation.
Yeah,
I've really
thank you.
genuinely enjoyed connecting with you tonight. I'm going to be watching more closely to your storytelling aspect, I think, and just see what I can pick up through that.
Yeah,
And um, your photos as well are, I can just really see what energy you capture in the photos that you take. And um, particularly, there is one on your website with the two little girls, and you're back a little bit, and they're in some sort of little fieldy thing.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
I just think that's just so beautiful. I particularly like the ones that are a little further back, perhaps, to take in everything in the
yeah.
scene. And it's almost like your energy is imbued through your photographs. I mean, how can it not be, I suppose, the man behind the camera, right?
I
And
suppose, yeah,
to know what sort of potent mutative energy it is that you carry inside of you, and how that comes through in such a special moment for these couples is really powerful and special. And it's wonderful to see you living as such a happy, satisfied generator, doing what you love, to go from a bloody quantity surveyor to a wedding photographer
I
just
know.
because you went to a wedding and thought, God, these people are really happy. I just want to be around that.
That's it.
I just think
That's
is
it.
awesome and hilarious. And yeah, so and you've shared a lot today, almost a bit of like a refresher, I would say, for myself in terms of how I look at showing up online, and I think for other people, because there is a lot of nervousness with showing up. Uh,
Yeah,
and yeah, there's been a lot of helpful encouragement, I suppose, and just quite practical, straightforward advice on what they can do if that is something that they want to dabble in, and for whatever it is that they want to do. And I just will end this and say that I really appreciate all of the energy that you pour into what you share online. It really does brighten Instagram and everyone's
Oh, thank you.
days. And yeah, it's just been a real pleasure connecting with you today.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you for having me on. I feel like I want to dive deeper into my readings and my lines and stuff. But
Yeah,
I've got to go out and party now with a
you
few
do.
photographers. Not too
Yes.
much of a party though. I am driving, so I'll
Oh,
behave myself. But yeah, thank you very much. It's been very nice. And I wish I was more coherent. As we've said, I don't have a plan. I say things, but this year's been about practicing things and saying yes to things and speaking to people like this unscripted
yeah.
is something that I've always struggled with, I suppose. Not struggled with because I don't really get the opportunity. Although saying that, this is how I talk to my couples who are getting married. But maybe I feel in such I feel so confident in my abilities at the wedding that when I am faced with a random couple, I'm absolutely fine. It's There's no issue whatsoever. But talking to you where you're asking questions and you're explaining things and we're exploring different things that maybe I'm not too familiar with. This is the outside the comfort zone, and that's why I wanted to do it. Um, Try new things, talk to people. It's all good practice. I know it's so strange. A few friends of mine have said, "I can't believe you're nervous about speaking." Something I'm doing in February. There's going to be few photographers there, and I'm a bit nervous. And they said, and they're like, "We've literally watched you on Instagram all year, d- millions of views, and you know, it's a growing name in the wedding community. Everyone knows who Andrew Keir is now. How can you be panicking about talking in front of 20 people?" And I'm like, I'm absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Um, but it's so this is super helpful as well from a selfish point of view. I'm using you
Good. I
as a practice
I
session
did
to
expect
see if I
that.
can speak. See, I always have a few layers to whatever I'm doing. There's a few layers in there, but yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure. Well, I'll let you know when this goes live. There'll be a few little links that it pulls out, and if you want to share any, you can. Otherwise, I'll
Yeah, no
share some.
worries.
And you
Make sure you cut out all of the gaps. Don't make me look like an
can.
idiot.
I
Then my
try and leave
brain's
it as
still
natural as
computing.
possible. Yeah.
Um, yeah, you should do some. You're so good at talking. Do you ever do like branding work for people? You strike me as someone who could like do copywriting for a website, or like a brand. I don't know what I'm thinking of. You speak to you speak to people, they give you what they do, and you analyze. You look at their stuff, you analyze them, and say this is what you are. This is how you can this is how you can explain what you do in a more authentic way. Because sometimes people don't know how to talk about themselves on their websites. They
Yeah.
get Something I found was when I got my website designed, that the design does not include the copywriting. I thought it was everything. So this was a lesson I had to learn, that the guy who designed the website doesn't actually write anything. So I had to
Mm,
write all that myself. But if I could go back in time and I had more money, I would hire a copywriter, branding expert. Someone who sits down with you and goes through with what you do, writes things down, goes away, and then comes back and tells you what they've discovered. Because sometimes hearing it from you, it's like, wow, okay, that makes sense, and you've said that in such a lovely way, and yeah, that I don't know what that job is. Is it like a branding consultant or something like that? Is that what you've done before?
maybe. Well, I would say what you've just described is exactly what I am here as, according to my own design. I'm a transmitter.
Yeah,
And I know I know people. I'm a projector. I'm here to guide. I know people. I see people very deeply. Through their design, I can then dial into them on a deeper level. But the transmitter part is really about how do we sell this person or product or service to the
Yeah,
tribe.
yeah, yeah,
That's what it is. That's what a transmitter is. I'm a salesperson, but not,
absolutely.
and there can be slimy salespeople, and there's people that sell. Well, what does the tribe need? How do we make this appealing to the tribe? So, I just think that's amazing how you've picked that up. I love it, and I write for my
You're
work right
very
now, so
you're
that's
very
hilarious.
very effective communicator, which I've picked up when I've spoken to a couple of people. Usually, who was it who I spoke to? Oh, the company that I am an ambassador for, although ambassador sounds so fancy. So the company I'm the worst ambassador in the world for because I don't sell. I haven't
I
actually
love you.
don't sell any of their products. But the lady who I spoke to, who got in touch with me, called Danielle, and we had a video call like this, and she was in her car in Boston somewhere, and you have the same vibe because after we had our conversation and everything was sorted, I kind of said, by the way, you like the way that you talk and the way that you express yourself and get your point across is fantastic. I'm so sorry that I'm a stuttering uh, English person who can't string a sentence together. And she laughed and said, "You know what?" She said, "Although I'm a wedding photographer who's turned into a, she works for a company that has this program that edits photographs in your style. So they use AI to make the editing process easier." She said, "Even though I'm a wedding photographer who now works for Imagine AI," she says, "in my previous life, I was a salesperson." She got picked up as a wedding photographer talking to the owner of this company, and I think they must have saw the same energy. So she's
Ah,
slowly letting the weddings drift away. She still does them, and she's more onto the sales side. But the energy that I got from her, and like you just said, there's the slimy salespeople, and then there's just the people who are so, they communicate so well. They're so enthusiastic about the person that they're talking to, and I just wanted her to know that she was like a really good communicator. And even though she sat in her car in a car park in Boston, she was fantastic and she was laughing. And yeah, you've got this very similar energy, whatever that energy is. I bet you could do her chart and you'd
maybe
go,
she's the transmitter
yeah,
too.
she's a
Yeah.
transmitter. So yeah, that's just, I was just wondering, you sound like someone who is like, you could just do this standing on your head. You could just
Yeah.
rebrand people, I suppose. You know, when um,
Mm.
in the photography world, we're very good at taking pictures. We can build our own websites, but what we really suck at is the copy, is the getting across to the other people who we are and what we do and what is our particular way of seeing the world. And there's some copywriters in the wedding industry, they charge about, I think I saw one who would do your whole website for about 2 grand, something
Wow.
English, UK pounds. So it's a pipe dream for me at the moment. But I do think if I get a few more weddings and I save up, that is something I would look into. And the different mentality, they talk to you and then they extract the things from you that you don't even know, you wouldn't know how to put that into words, and then they say that back to you and you go, wow, okay, even though that sounds very grand, it actually also sounds accurate. That's how I would like to be viewed. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a skill, and you're very good at it. So good luck
Well,
to you on the next one.
thank you. I'd love the opportunity to try my hand at that. So if you know of anyone that wants to connect and, do some sort of deal together, then I'm all ears.
I just know that I follow a couple of them, and there must be a community of branding consultant type
Mm,
people. Um, if I see one, I'll send it to you, and then you can have a look because I think with the right website and Instagram page or whatever, and the right way of talking, I don't know, might be another avenue to use your skills.
I'd love it. I'd love it.
Yeah,
And I really appreciate that recognition and that insight. That's really helpful, and it feels really exciting to me. And I'd love the opportunity to do something like that. So I guess we'll just have to see what
yeah.
comes around the bend from
Obviously,
this.
I only know my little photography world, but I know that um, branding is a thing. People are
Yeah.
rebranding all the time. The wedding community is, we like to throw money at things, and as a lot of companies discover, they market to the photography community. Um, I don't know. I think that there's opportunities there for people who can communicate and identify people's key factors and give that back to people. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I roughly know what I'm talking about. When I see one of these accounts, I'll send it to you, and you can go,
Yeah.
oh right, okay, I see what they do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's okay. They consult. They get into the nitty gritty of what makes this person tick, and then they write a lovely biography, cover page, whatever it happens to be. I don't know. I think there's a market for that. Not something I could do myself because I have to think too long about the words that I say. But cool.
Mm.
And on that note, can I? I'm going to love you and leave you.
Yes. Very good.
My little
Enjoy.
friend will be here in 15 minutes, so I'm going to
Okay.
go and find my shoes.
Well, have fun. It's been an absolute pleasure, Andrew. Andy, I've
Thank
called
you
you
very
both.
much.
And
That's okay. Everyone does. It's fine.
we'll stay in touch, eh?
We will. Be
All
good.
right.
I'll catch you
Yeah.
later.
Thanks. See you, Andy. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.